to me Member of Parliament. There we go, that would help. Hello and welcome, my webcam is here now, and welcome to the Porsche PMR Cup Round 6 here at Bathurst, well, more commonly known as Bathurst. It's a circuit, Mount Panorama Circuit. We're getting it all mixed up because I forgot to mute the mic. Yeah, 6.5 kilometers of some of the most dangerous, beautiful, and sort of history-invoking, is that a word? Richest racing history on the planet. It's one of the hardest tracks. It's very, very difficult. And we've seen these drivers and these cars get spit out a couple of times around the likes of Spa and Donington, so far as Setterton. So to tackle the mountain is going to be a difficult task, especially side by side, which is exactly what we're probably going to end up seeing. 2 races tonight, 2 qualifying sessions as well. We're about to go into the first of them. Then there's it's a 10-minute qualifying, then it's a 15-minute race, followed by a 15-minute qualifying session, and a feature 45-minute race. So if anybody who is unfamiliar with the format, there you go. 10 minutes qualifying, 15-minute race. 15-minute qualifying, 45-minute race. We should all be wrapped up by around 10 o'clock. It may even be a little bit quicker than that, depending on how quickly we can get into the next server. Sometimes that holds us up. We've got about 17 cars here with us today, and 17 drivers willing to put the practice into mount an attack, shall we say, on the mountain itself. We do have, indeed, as well, all our driver championship standings so far, including everybody who's joined us throughout the season, not just the drivers that are still here, although the drivers that are still here probably will end up going a bit higher up. Please do let me know if the settings need changing or anything like that, if you need this turning up at all, or if you need the cars turning up at all, or anything like that. Do let me know. But before we get started, let's go. Well, they're about to go into qualifying. Let's go into the championship standings. So, if I can find it. There we go. Sorry, my computer was being a bit of an idiot. There's the championship standings then. So Matt Allen is on top at the moment with 141 points. Will Orton is still in second place, although he hasn't turned up for the last couple of rounds. Dave Newsham is in third, having been ever consistent and improved since Brands Hatch opener. David Ward is in fourth at the moment. Josh Malin slipped down to fifth after taking an early championship lead. I don't think he's been here since the third round. Lee Horn in sixth place though with 74 points, and Freddie Hewitt in one of the Fast Star cars as well in seventh. Michael Seal is in eighth. Bobby Thompson is still in the top 10, but only just. Colin Martin is drawing on points with him. Jeff Perkis is in 11th with 56 points. 55 points is Lee Deemer. Simon Clayton on 13th. Jochen Sigert in 14th. Jamie Dory in 15th with Matthew Addy in 16th. Sam Holman is 17th with Wayne Douglas in 18th. And further down, you can see Keith Dempsey, 19th, Ollie Wayne, 20th, Robert Barrable, 21st, well, in fact, 21st down to 29th is Robert Barrable, Adam McNally, Callum Newsham, Neil Memory, Andrew Lovesey, Jack Taylor, Paul Scott, Ben Johnson, and Gavin Allen. A couple of those drivers who haven't put any points in so far this season, and you can probably guess they haven't been here that often either, which is a bit of a shame. I'll give a big thank you to Gavin Johnson, who's given it a follow on the stream, and also Simon Clayton. Thank you very much for coming along, and thank you very much for giving it a like or a follow. And Katie Eames, you liked it way before, 50 minutes ago, as soon as we went live. So thank you very much for that. So as you can see at the moment, David Ward is topping the timing in practice. We have just had the checkered flag drop just 5 seconds ago. So we will be seeing the drivers pull into the pits. Dave Newsham is currently on second with Matt Allen, championship leader, in third. Callum Newsham is back as well. Chris Knox is in the building. Jamie Dory, Lee Horn as well, flying the next gen livery. A couple of these drivers, Matt Allen, I believe it is, he's the Misty Racing driver. So he wanted me to give a shout out to that this morning, and that I have now. So the Misty Racing car coming out just before the 2 Fast Star cars at the moment. Lee Horn, the likes of Freddie Hewitt as well. Colin Martin's in here. Here is Dave Newsham. He's actually the thumbnail of the day so far. We've included him onto the thumbnail of the stream. And Chris Knox. Now, I've seen Chris a couple of times in the MX-5s, and I don't believe I've seen him that often in this, although I do recognise the KFC car, so maybe he was here. It's been a couple of weeks. It's been 2 weeks break over Christmas and New Year's since we've actually got going again. It means I have forgotten a few things that had happened. I remember Snetterton being quite exciting, to be fair, and this is only going to get spicier, I'm sure. Anybody who's wondering about the Bathurst Mount Panorama Circuit, I do have a couple of circuit facts here for you. I mean, granted, they are off the website itself, but obviously it is mainly used these days for the V8 supercars, although it does have a couple of other rounds getting flown out to it. I believe WEC is held there as well, which is always nice. Circuit length is well, 6.2 kilometers. The length of the longest straight, which is Concord Straight, which is the back one down into the last chicane, is 1.9 kilometers, nearly 2 kilometers. So it's a very long lap. It builds to a highest point of 862 meters above sea level. It's an extremely, it is up a mountain at the end of the day. It's an extremely steep bit of track. You need an awful lot of horsepower to get up there quickly. It also takes an awful lot of horsepower to spit you out in rather dramatic fashion. They are on the Concord Straight, as you can see them now, with Chris Knox leading the way, trying to warm the tyres up. Flat out right-hander. We will go on board because I'm sure it will be an amazing spectacle to see these cars fully warmed up and flying for a qualifying lap around this circuit. They will have done plenty of practice before coming into this one. They've had 2 weeks to prepare for what will be probably the most challenging circuit they're facing until they hit the Nürburgring, I believe, on the final round. But it is going to be very interesting to see how they attack it, actually. Whether they're a bit more cautious, whether they go gung-ho, I imagine there'll be a bit of a split throughout the grid.
We want to take this all the way to the Prime Minister. Hey, Mr. Prime Minister!
So, who have we got to look forward to then? At the moment, Matt Allen, as I said, is he was currently the top of the championship standings, the Misty Racing driver, just sort of getting back up to the mountain now. Number 88 car here. He's going to hope for a good solid session running. He was in third place in practice that we saw today, just before we went live here. And the other likes of Dave Newsham as well. He was in second. Now Dave, I don't think he'll mind in saying, had a bit of a terrible time in Brands Hatch, and I'm sure he's probably not very happy with me saying that as well. He probably doesn't think I let him forget it, but it was pretty atrocious. He has got himself back on track though, and he's really building himself some solid points and also some good pace as well. And not only that, his actual racecraft is getting better. Now Dave is obviously an extremely well-versed racing driver in real life. The sim world is a little bit of a different dog though. You have to manage, you have to sort of handle it a different way. It's although it makes it everything as real as possible, sometimes it's just not quite real enough. If you're used to having the car underneath you, the grip level going through your entire body, spatial awareness is obviously very different depending if you're using VR, triple screens, one screen, a TV, a monitor. Everything's a little bit different. Dave Newsham at the moment though, he seems to be getting to grips with whatever machinery he's got, because as I said, his consistency and his race pace has been an awful lot better. As we see the first lap time come onto our screen, and it's David Ward to set it, currently on pole position. Dave Newsham comes across the line to put it in second place at the moment, but these are all quite provisional times. 2 minutes and 8 seconds by the looks of it with the lap times. I'm sure that'll come down by a couple of seconds throughout the session, but we are already nearly halfway through this qualifying session. So that opening lap really does take a while to warm the cars up and to get around. It's probably about a 3-minute outlap, 3.5-minute outlap, which you know, when you're trying to get space and everything like that, and you aren't confident you can get the one flying lap in under your belt, it can be a bit of a tricky one. David Ward locking up there in one of the Fast Star cars as well. I have to say, I've been having a chat to some of the Fast Star guys, and I think it's Michael Seal that I have a chat to on Discord every so often, and it's obviously an exciting time for them because they've just recently announced that the Fast Star esports team is up and away, and maybe we can see if we can get cross-post into their channel as well on Facebook. That'd be really interesting. But the Fast Star teamed with Team Cheetah for the esports team. As I'm giving them a nice little plug, David Ward puts it into the wall and puts it into another one of his cars. the number 17 car of Freddie Hewitt. I believe he is actually back to my fast start in real life. David Ward and Freddie Hewitt having a big coming together, and probably not really ideal for either of them. If the fast start guys are watching, that's not what they were hoping for. In fact, that's really not what they're hoping for, because in the bigger picture, Freddie Hewitt's put a 2 minute 9 seconds in, 8 tenths off the likes of David Ward, who obviously crashed into him. But I would assume that everyone would probably put another flying lap in now, whereas these two have now got to warm their tyres all back up again. They'll get one half flying lap towards the 9 minute margin. We'll be able to potentially get 2 laps in, but they're really going to have to get a hurry on if they're going to warm their tyres up and get a couple of flying laps in as well. They've really scuppered themselves here. But that just goes to show how difficult this circuit can be and how brutal it is. These cars are just trying to get around it to put a representative lap time in at the moment, and that is how on the edge you really have to be to get the most amount of this circuit. But also, you know, don't end up in a wall. That normally helps. So Jamie Norrie then, he's the one who organises this entire league. He's in one of the next gen cars along with his teammate Lee Horn. Lee obviously organising the next gen WTCR league. League that you could have seen on Jacko Racing in the last next gen season. We covered the season 18 of the WTCR league with Jamie going a little bit wide, almost touching the back end into the first corner. Yeah, it was a fantastic league, to be fair. Settled on the final day between these two drivers as well, Jamie Norrie and Lee Horn, which was a very exciting, I think it was China we were in, the Shanghai circuit. Very exciting finale with Jamie Norrie ended up pipping Lee Horn in the end, and Jamie looks like he's broken his car somewhat, so he's going to have to come into the pits, and indeed he does. Lee Horn has completed a lap and a little bit, but he hasn't yet set a lap time, so he may have gotten off track. He's only got 2 minutes to set another one. At the moment he'll be able to finish this lap, and he may be able to get another one in. As I said, do let me know if the levels of my voice or the cars or anything else need changing. Maybe the entire voice needs changing, I can see about that, but it is worth worth experimenting with. If I'm a little bit loud, if I'm a little bit quiet, then do let me know. I do often play around with a few of the settings when I'm recording other things, and sometimes I can forget to put them back or forget where I put them, basically. It's on a slider and sometimes quite difficult. It was a fab finale, well worth the watch, says Katie. She's absolutely correct. It was absolutely awesome. The WTCR League always produced with some fantastic racing, and Lee and Jamie came up with the goods on that one as well. I think Lee just didn't have the pace at Shanghai, and the fact that he went into the round with the championship lead meant that he had the maximum amount of ballast on board as well, and Jamie Norrie could come in with it with less ballast, a quicker straight line car, and meant that he was able to, well, let's say, just take the challenge to him. Lee Horn puts his lap time in then, puts him in 4th position. Dave Newsham has gone top of the pile. We said that a lot of time would probably be chipped away at their first flying lap, and Dave Newsham has done just that. It's a 2 minute 7.6 with Matt Allen, as we saw before, ending up in the wall and then ending up in another driver. Oh, the Missy Racing car of Matt Allen. So it wasn't Matt Allen that I was talking about, actually. Sorry, it was David Ward that I was trying to think of. Matt Allen this time in the wall, and that's going to be the end of his qualifying. He's not going to be able to get out and set another one, so he's going to have to settle for 2nd place as a maximum. And unfortunately for him, David Ward may well be on a flying lap. He's at the moment going down the Concord Straight, I believe this is. Yeah, he's going to set it up. He's got about 15 seconds to get there. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to. At the moment, his lap time is not going to be that much faster, if at all faster. And it's definitely not going to be any faster now. Is he going to get in the way of his teammate again, Freddie Hewitt? No, Hewitt has to slow down. 10-minute qualifying session. Checkered flag has dropped. So what you see on your screen is probably how it's going to end up. Apologies if that interrupted things a little bit, and you may see the cars flick in and out. Just realised I didn't have some of the paint jobs on a few of the cars. Michael Seal takes the line. He's in 9th place as well. So we'll be able to get the full rundown of the grid for the first race in a couple of minutes. here at the Mount Panorama circuit. A couple of drivers, I think, left out there. Jochen Sigert is one of them. Currently on the... he's in the Next Gen livery. Apologies, I didn't realise that Jochen was actually part of the Next Gen crew. I think it has been a couple of weeks since we last covered this series. So, unfortunately, I think my notes may have been a little out of date there. I think that's Callum Newsham behind him as well, trying to get a lap time, because him and Colin Martin are the two drivers that currently haven't got a lap time set yet. Callum Newsham, this is his one and only flying lap that he's going to be able to put in, and we'll see if it's actually going to be any good. With the qualifying checker flag already dropped, we'll see if he can actually even put the lap time in at all. Colin Martin's about to come across the line. Let's see how he's got on. He's currently not set a lap time, like I said, the number 13 car. He pitches it into the final corner, a nice late apex. And across the line he goes. Colin Martin puts his car up to 10th place. Just about cracks the top 10, knocking Thomas Delaney out. Speaking of Thomas Delaney, he's going to come down into the final corner now. Pitch it in. Oh, a bit of a lock-up. Miss the apex a touch. Comes across the line. Thomas Delaney, can he improve and get himself into the top 10? No, he cannot. So it's Callum Newsham and Jochen Sigert. Callum Newsham's put himself in the wall. Jochen Sigert has gone into... He's still in 12th place. And Callum Newsham is the only driver not to have set a time, thanks to the fact that he put it into the wall just before. So we'll be able to bring you the grid as soon as it's available to us. So just waiting for the session 2 progress. Thank you very much for the share on the stream as well. Volume and graphics all look great. Thank you very much, Chocolate Cozzy. Nice to have you watching along. I think you're one of the Forza drivers, aren't you, Chocolate Cozzy? From back in the day. That's a throwback, that is. Simon Clayton's given it a like as well. I missed that one, I think. So thank you very much. Oh no, I caught that one, but there you go. Double shout out, Simon. Thank you very much. So until we get the grid up, let's remind ourselves of some of the sponsors and obviously what this series is. It's the Porsche PMR Cup, but it's powered by Next Gen Racing. So Next Gen Racing, they host an entire roster, a massive roster these days actually for season 19 of fantastic race support series and anything you want to play on, basically. GT Sport, I don't think Forza's on there, but Assetto Corsa. Anything, iRacing, they've got something for you. There we go. Pole position is Dave Newsham with Matt Allen in second place. Third place is Dave Ward with Lee Horn in second. Chris Knox in fifth. Freddie Hewitt in sixth. Wayne Douglas in seventh. Jamie Dorian eighth. Michael Seal ninth. Colin Martin in 10th. Thomas Delaney in 11th. And 12th is Jochen Sigert. 13th is Jeff Perkis. Ollie Wayne in 14th. Sam Holman in 15th with 16th Matthew Addy and Callum Newsham in 17th position. Obviously the only driver to not have put a lap time in. So as the drivers line up, let's remind ourselves that this is the first of 2 races tonight. It's the 15-minute sprint race. This will be followed by a 15-minute qualifier session before we go into the 45-minute feature race. So it will be an entire evening jam-packed full of, well, awesome racing, basically. Pedigree Chum advert in the background there. I've never noticed that since covering Bathurst at all. We're just waiting on Thomas Delaney, I believe, and Jochen Sigert. There is the pole sitter, Dave Newsham, and right at the back of the field is his son, I believe, Callum Newsham, who we can't even see. But we're going to be focusing on Dave because we're about to go racing. The lights are on now. Engine notes rise, and we're going to have racing on a Friday night for the first time here at Bathurst. Away we go, and it's a good start from Dave Newsham. It's a better start from Matt Allen, though. Trying to look around the outside. David Ward as well defending into the first corner. Matt Allen can't quite get past Dave Newsham yet. Newsham runs a little bit wide. The two, Chris Knox and David Ward, are going side by side yet again as well. And this may well be, there's a flash of the lights in the back there. There's going to be a race down into the mountain now. Misty Eye on the mountain. Misty racing on top of the mountain potentially because he's going to go around the outside of Dave Newsham. Not quite. Matt Allen tucks back in. It's not a place where you want to go too wide if you can help being on the outside, that is. Chris Knox has got into third place. We'll see if we can find, third place. We'll see if we can find out how in a couple of minutes, but he's just possessed Dave Ward and actually moved up 2 positions. So he got ahead of Lee Horner as well. Wayne Douglas has gained a position as well as Michael Seal at the expense of Freddie Hewitt and Jamie Dory respectively. Jochen Sigurt's down 5 places and I believe has started in the pits. And we'll be able to have a look at that in a minute. But crawling all over the back of Dave Newsham is Matt Allen now. The championship leader going into this round, the second half of the championship. Remember, there are 10 rounds here in the PMR Porsche Cup. And by the looks of it, it's going to be 10 rounds of spicy racing. Jochen Sigurd has actually crashed. I'm not sure what's happened there. As soon as we get to the bottom of the hill and into the second lap, we'll be able to have a look. But you can see on the track map at the top right-hand side of your screen, the number 17 car a long way back from the rest of the field. And I will be able to bring that. We've got a yellow flag. That's... I'll be honest, I've never seen a yellow flag used in any of the series that I've had. Ollie Wayne has had a crash. Potentially that might be why. The number 16 car yet again on your track map. But at the moment we'll focus on the cars ahead because Matt Allen and Callum Newsham are not going hammer and tongs at it. I'm not sure how this yellow flag... I mean, I'm guessing it's like a normal yellow flag in normal racing. But is it a safety car it's going to bring out? The only time I've seen a safety car in iRacing in a league like this is when I cover the NASCAR league. So maybe we'll get someone in and they can explain what the yellow flag is like to drive under, because I'm not entirely sure. We'll keep an eye on Matt Allen at the moment though. So there is the safety car. So we are going to have a full safety car run now. Let's have a look at a few of the crashes then. This is Jochen Sigurd. So I think he started from the pit lane going into the mountain section. Just over rotates the car. I mean, that is an extremely easy thing done. And expect to see that, I imagine, in the 45-minute race when the rear tyres go off even more. Ollie Wayne has had a crash in the middle of the park as well. What's happened to him? Dipping down. Ooh, looks like there's a bit of tyre smoke. Is that a lockup? Oh, yes, he's had to come and avoid. Callum Newsham's gone into the side of him. But that was a bit of a confusing crash, to be honest. Let's have a look and see if we can go quarter speed on his roll bar. So he comes down, he pitches into the right. You can see the puff of smoke there. And there seems to be a car. Is that one of the next gen cars? No, it isn't. I'm not sure who it is. It's not coming up on my screen. Seems to have crashed on the right-hand side there. He has to come across to try and make the apex because the car's coming across. The number 2 car of Wayne Douglas, that is. I think it was Callum Newsham who just ended up going into the back of him. So not really anything anybody could have done there, apart from maybe give themselves a little bit more racing room. A little bit of a damaged front end there for Wayne. But it's a cracking start by Chris Knox, has to be said. He's in 3rd place at the moment. And I'm just going to have a very quick look and see if there is any information about putting out a forced safety car. Apparently they do have a fast repair for the sprint race and 3 fast repairs for the feature race. I think they're expecting that there's going to be a bit of bruising here and there. But I think he's going to be alright. Oh, Chris Knox going straight on there. I'm not sure what happened to him. I've just realised that a few of the people in the Discord were asking if there was any streaming tonight, and I haven't put it in there, which is always good fun. You're right, Katie. It does make... I've never seen a yellow on sim before either. Not like this, anyway. Obviously, the NASCAR. We see the pace car coming out anytime there's a breath of wind, to be honest. The pace car is nearly always out. But in terms of racing like this, yeah, it's not something that we often see. And unfortunately, right for now, the lights aren't coming off. And I know for a fact that on the NASCAR series, the car is out for 3 laps at a time. Depending on the track, that can be a really long time or it can be a really short time. In NASCAR, laps can be 30 seconds. But as we've seen, the qualifying time in these cars around Bathurst is 2 minutes 7. So if we stick a safety car out there as well, then it's going to be a 5-minute lap per lap. And since we've only got 15 minutes, I really hope that it's not 3 laps. But let's have a go back. Oh, thank you very much, Lee Horn, for the like. Get behind the wheel, Lee. Come on. Let's jump back to the front. Dave Newsham. I'm just going to wait. We have had another crash, apparently. Wayne Douglas has had an incident. I think that might have been the crash that we were catching before. And it looks like the safety car is not coming in. Maybe I should just drag one of the guys in just to have a chat while they're behind the safety car. In fact, that might be a really fun thing to do. They'd be probably really annoyed at me. This is Wayne Douglas, so his car's already beaten and bruised from that earlier incident. Oh, his engine just went bang. His engine died. Listen to that carefully. I'll play it back. Ooh. Yeah, you can see a big puff of smoke and a crash and a bang. Really not sure what happened there, but that last lap, by the way, for everyone, was about 4 minutes and 5 seconds. I'm actually going to drag someone in now, whether they like it or not. And I know, Lee, I know you're listening. I know you're watching because you've just given a like. Simon Clayton, the yellows come out automatically if for a corner, if there's a car stuck on track. They can manually send out a safety car. You have to be a race director to do so, though. Interesting. Okay, so what about calling them back in? Because I think it's safe to say there's nobody out on track. I'm going to drag Lee in. I am. I'm just going to drag him in. The safety car lights are off. Don't think I should drag him in now. I'll drag him in after this. It's always nice to have a chat to Lee. But if the safety car lights were still on, I would drag him in, but he's going to have to make sure that he's actually getting this restart nailed now. So I don't want to be that guy who ruins the race for him. But it's an interesting thing that I've never seen it. As I said, like the likes of Snetterton, Donington, Silverstone. I'm just naming British tracks here, but the Nordschleife even, or anything like that. I haven't seen a yellow flag. So yeah, here's a first for me. I've only been doing this for about 8 or 9 months, and this is the first. So, in fact, probably longer than that now. But also, might as well take the opportunity to thank everyone who's tuned in, who's given a like, a share, a follow, a comment. We're almost on 500 follows, which is awesome. I think I set my goal of 500. I think we started on 150, 180 from back when this was my racing channel and my racing from real racing and everything. And yeah, I set my goal as soon as I started this. I wanted 500 followers within a year. And we are very close to it, 483, I think. So thank you very much to everyone who's done such a thing. And hopefully we'll be able to bring you some more awesome races throughout the rest of 2021. Because by the looks of it, everybody's got time to go and do such a thing. So it'll be awesome. You have a minimum number of laps that the safety car is out, says Simon. It's good. Car of the van, why can't we hear the cars? Go Dave, go, and go Callum, go. Newsham Nutters. We're loving it. Thank you very much, Chocolate Cosy. Can everybody hear the cars? If I stop talking, the cars are there, aren't they? I'm not completely muted them. I'm playing with the sound a little bit now. Just before the safety car comes in, let's just make sure that the sound, the cars, we can hear them. I mean, when they're far away, we can't hear them, obviously, because they're far away. To be fair, they're not exactly going very quickly, are they? Apparently, Simon Clayton, you had PC issues. Gutting that one. Really quiet compared to you. Right, okay, we're going to whack them up then. Because I'm about to go racing. If it's any better in the final 5 minutes, do let me know. And we will change it for the next session if not. As I said, I do change things around in between these broadcasts. It's been 2 weeks. Right, are we ready to go then? Dave Newsham to set the pace as he goes around the final corner. He's gone already. Dave puts the power down and he's off and away. Matt Allen is second place. David Ward in 4th, Lee Horn in 5th. That's how they are across the line. And looks like Dave Newsom's done a good start. Lee Horn is very close to David Ward in the fast R cars. In fact, he's in a bit of a fast R sandwich here with Michael Seal and Freddie Hewitt as well behind him. Not in that order, the reverse order of what I've just read out, to be fair. In fact, it's fast R, fast followed by next gen, followed by fast, fast, and next gen again. So a bit of a midfield battle here in the wars, but here goes Lee Horn trying to go around the outside. We've had a few crashes in the background. I believe Lee Horn tries to go around the outside. That's always going to be an ambitious move. You have to have the move done pretty much before you hit the braking zone. It's not quite happened for Lee as they've entered the mountain. So as Dave Newsom starts to climb once again, Matt Allen hunkered up just behind him. Yet again, it's impossible. Pretty much impossible in these cars to make a meaningful attempt at an overtake through this sort of treacherous section. Although if they're going to give it a go, that's one way of doing it. It's a late apex by Dave Newsom. Matt Allen crawling over the back of him there. It's a difficult braking zone to go two abreast into this chicane. And then all the way down, it's the inertia. It just keeps getting away from these drivers. And you really have to make sure that you don't overheat the tyres or anything. So the front three getting away from it. Apologies if you can hear little beeps in the background. It is me. I tried to sort them out now. But Dave Newsom, Matt Allen, Chris Knox have opened up nearly a 2-second gap on the drivers behind. It's because Dave Ward's got a next-gen orange Porsche climbing all over the back of him at the moment, trying to hold them off. And he's probably going to be hoping that Freddie Hewitt is going to be the one to maybe put Lee off and make a lunge on him. We did have a few crashes under the safety car, would you believe it, as well. I think Matthew Eddy and Jochen Sigert had a bit of a incident right before we went racing, and we're having a look at that. In fact, as these guys come down before we go into the braking zone, this is Matthew Eddy. This is just before the restart, so all the drivers have pretty much put their foot down now. Or no, they haven't, they're there. I think all he did there was lock up, to be honest. I don't think that's a crash worthy of note there, iRacing. Thank you very much. However, I believe he's just had a crash going into the final corner this time. Matthew Addy braking hard in the RAF Porsche. No, it's not. He's the car behind Sam's cases. And he does just get the rear end rotated, unfortunately for him. Oh, Chris Knox. He must have had an incident, or you could say he's had a knock. But I wouldn't, because he has just had an incident. Now, I'm not sure what's happened there, and we'll be able to potentially grab a quick look. I think David Ward went for a move on him, but last time we checked, he was a long way back. About 2 seconds back, in fact. So, let's have a look. So, this is Dave Ward flying in. Oh, he's just on the side there. He was just on the side. Not sure what happened to him. Here is Chris, though. He's going to be overtaken by Callum Newsham on the inside. Now, these two boys are going to have to fight fair and fight safe, because it's going to be a dangerous descent if they don't. This is the worst place you want to be hunkered up into the gearbox and into the into the gearbox of the car in front, and a driver behind into the gearbox as well. But he's making a move on Jeff Burgess now. Little bit of touching. Yep, big touch in the end there. And Jeff Burgess has been muscled out of it. And Callum Newsham's going to have Jeff as well by the looks of it. And the Fast R car, Sam Holman, is that? Yes, it is. Flying straight at... Well, my days. Everybody sit down. That's gone straight into the pits. I'm not sure what happened before it, though. Goodness me. I think Colin Martin was involved. Yep, Colin Martin's off as well. And Ollie Wayne. They do have a fast repair each. Only one. But I believe we're about to have the checker flag for Dave Newsham. Going across the line. We haven't quite reached the 15-minute mark. But because we had a safety car, I believe, I think that's Dave Newsham taking the victory. They caught me a little bit off guard there, because you can see on the time on the top left, it didn't actually say 15 minutes. I thought we were going to get another lap out of this. But it's Dave Newsham who takes the first win of the evening. The first sprint race, and Matt Allen in the second, Dave Ward in third in the end, with Lee Horn and Freddie Hewitt rounding out the top 5. And I think it's safe to say I got a bit carried away with the... but I mean, you can understand. Let's have a look at that crash yet again. So Sam Holman gets put on the outside. He comes back across, loses the car, comes back in, and then hits the RAF car there. I'm not sure who that was. And then up in the air, and see you later. You are not... What's the Toy Story quote? It's not you are a toy, but I was going for you are a car. You get what I mean, though. He's absolutely flying there. It's not ideal for him. Wow. It's yeah, not good. But as the cars are coming back across the track now, I think it's just Ollie Waynes we're waiting for. Yeah, so it's Ollie as the RAF car, who unfortunately got a big shunt as the other car went flying. He's going to come across the line in 16th place, and I'll be able to bring you the full rundown of race 1 results. Oh, and he's gone flying into the air as well. David Newsham then confirmation that he won by 0.6 of a second. David Ward was 4 seconds behind in the end in 3rd place though. Lee Horn was in 4th, but Freddie Hewitt ended up in 5th. Michael Seal with another one of the Fast Star cars in 6th place, with Jamie Dorian 7th. Callum Newsham in 8th, Jeff Perkis in 9th. Jochen Sigert was in 10th place. Matthew Addy, well, the fact that Jochen Sigert got 10th place after the start that he had is really spectacular, to be fair. Matthew Addy had a few too many offs, with Thomas Delaney in 12th, Wayne Douglas in 13th, Chris Knox is in 14th in the end after running really well in 3rd place, Colin Martin in 15th, Ollie Waynes in 16th after being caught out by what can only be described as a low flying object with Sam Holman at the wheel. And that is all she wrote for the first race of the evening. So, I keep looking over there because that's where my webcam used to be. We're going to try and catch a quick break now. We had to go into the next server, but in between we will be trying to be catching a couple of words with a few of the other drivers just to see how that safety car feature worked. I know Simon Clayton came on the chat before explaining it a little bit, so thank you very much. If I keep looking that way, it's because my chat's on this screen over here. And my webcam used to be there, but it's straight in front of me. It's just a bit easier to chat to you like this whilst looking at the screen. So yeah, that was a very interesting race. Never seen a safety car before around a circuit like Bathurst, but very interesting that Simon came and cleared that one up a little bit. And a few interesting drives as well. Dave Newsham, once he got into the lead after qualifying on pole, just drove away with it slightly. He didn't really look like he was ever under too much pressure after the restart. Matt Allen was there, but not quite close enough. David Ward and Lee Horn had a good little battle. In fact, all the Fast Star and Next Gen drivers had a really good little battle, a good little ding-dong. As I said, we'll hopefully be having a chat to one or two of the other drivers as we go through. But I'm going to try and jump out the server and jump into the next one. So join me in a couple of minutes where we'll have race 2. Well, actually, it was qualifying 2 first. A 15-minute qualifying followed by a 45-minute feature race. And I'll just have a quick look at the... Oh, well, we've had quite a lot of comments as well. I'll just get rid of this countdown thing because it's completely in the wrong place. Car sounds probably want to smidge up volume for the next server. We'll do that, Katie. The beats for you. Trying to find the kids. Yeah, that was me. Oh dear. Flying without wings. That's a good one. I like that. Flying without wings. Oh dear. You're not Space Ranger. That's probably right. You are a toy. I was going for you're a car, but I couldn't remember the bit before that, so thank you. I had a bit of a mind blank there. Brilliant drive, Callum Newsham. Yeah, where did Callum come in? 8th place in the end, after not having a lap time in qualifying. Brilliant little drive from that. Obviously taking advantage from a few cars messing up, shall we say, a few crashes, but it has to be said, around Bathurst, when those drivers have those incidents, it's pretty much impossible to avoid, and he must have done a really good job. Didn't catch too much of his race, because the race was sort of a bit odd. But in the 45-minute race, I'm sure we'll be able to see how he cracks on. Especially, I'm guessing he'll be able to get a lap time in the next session as well. Fingers crossed. Right, I'm going to jet off. I'm going to hopefully grab somebody to have a chat with in a minute, so you don't just have to listen to my droning voice constantly. Thank you very much, Matt Emmons, as well, on the like as well. Nice to have you back, Matt. We'll be back in a couple of seconds. Welcome. I keep looking over there. Welcome back. We are at a bit of an interval because we're changing between servers, but I have found the highest placed man that I could find from that race, and he's always up for having a chat. We were going to drag him in halfway through the race when the yellow flag was out, but I thought it'd be a bit harsh. But Lee, well done on the 4th place. You must be rather pleased. And like you said just before we went live, you're not used to fighting up this end on iRacing with the Porsches, are you? But you must have really enjoyed it.
I did. I must admit, it's on the back of some better form in the Porsches. The week you were away at Daytona, I managed to get a podium. Followed it up the following week in the feature race with a 4th, and now I've just equaled that again. But yeah, I'm not normally. It's normally the quicker guys falling off, and not me getting to them. But this time, I seem to carry my own merit of speed this time, which I'm quite pleased with. But yeah, it was fun dicing with the guys that are normally a lot further up the grid than me. So yeah, really enjoyed that.
Are you telling me then that the 1 week I miss a Lee Horn podium? Because that's gutted. Because you're always up for having a chat. I would have loved to bring you in on a podium chat. That would have been fantastic.
Mate, I was like a big kid, seriously, in the sweet shop. I was giggling, laughing, couldn't believe it. I was jumping around the room, nearly dropped my VR headset off my head because, yeah, first podium and amongst obviously some of the super quick guys and pros that we got in here. It was really cool. But yeah, my performances, I've been putting in a little bit more practice, if I'm honest, and it's sort of helped. Turning a good few laps with Jamie when he's available, when he's not working so much these days, and it's paying off a little bit more. So yeah, really enjoying things.
Good stuff. Yeah, well, I was going to say a lot of the we had a few drivers obviously dropping out, sort of a few big names in the real world of motorsport sort of thing, and they've dropped out. But I would say that sort of top end mid pack has really stepped up, haven't they? The likes of yourself, Dave Ward, Matt Allen, as well as Dave Newsham as well. Obviously, he's a big name in the real world of motorsport, but he wasn't exactly there, was he, at the beginning of this series? But you guys have really stepped it up, and actually, it's a very close battle at the front end now, isn't it, between everyone?
Yeah, the championship's tightened up with those that haven't been able to be regular, sort of off the scene for the minute. Yeah, the top of the table looks pretty sharp at the moment, and I think, to be honest, at the start of the season, everyone was still finding their feet with the car. It's not an easy car to drive. It's very tricky. You've got to learn its traits and how light it can be and how easily it locks up and all that. And I think everyone at the beginning were, apart from the super quick guys, of course, the pros, everyone was finding their feet. And I think now everyone's sort of getting a little bit more familiar with the car and just gaining pace, which is closing the field up. So that's really good.
Yeah, but there's a little bit of a discussion in the chat as well. I don't know if you managed to catch it. I've seen you've liked the stream, which I'm very thankful for. Although I think you should have been gridding up at the time, but still, I'm very thankful. But yeah, there's a little bit of a discussion on how many safety car laps do you think we're going to have in the 45-minute session? Because I'll be honest, that was the first ever time, apart from NASCAR races, that I've seen the safety car come out in one of these leagues. That threw me a little bit. What's it like driving behind it? Is it a bit weird?
That's it.
Do you know, it's not really. It's just driving at obviously a particular pace. The good thing about the game is it's telling you all the time which car you need to be behind. So you've got to keep a sensible head on you and not floor it and stick your front end into their rear end. And if you are warming your tyres, not being a fool and throw it off. So it's not too bad because it's well guided, well structured. I'm just trying to think, going back to the PMR series that we had, obviously in the other lockdown, whether we had any safety cars then. We might have done, but it might not be obviously when you were commentating, because you were doing the other tiers, weren't you?
Yeah.
I think we had maybe one or two throughout the series then, but yeah, obviously for us drivers, we've experienced them before, but I don't think on the streams there's been that many. So perhaps interesting for you guys to see one. Albeit it made the race pretty short for us because it was the only the 15-minute one. How many the feature race is going to breed? Well, that's going to be down to obviously us drivers and trying to keep the thing in a straight line.
Yeah, exactly. It's a difficult track, isn't it? And just one last little bit before we go off on the safety car sort of perspective. Is it a case of you have to keep the tyres warm throughout, or is it a case of you can sort of chill out until the final lap and then you can sort of try and warm the tyres up? Does it take any life away from the tyres if you keep them warm throughout the entire thing? I only ask because in real life, I often just waited until the final lap and then I would warm the tyres up sort of thing. Because otherwise I'd feel car sick, basically. But is it a case of sort of like you just constantly got to keep the car warm? Does the car cool off quite quickly?
You know what? That's some really good questions because I don't actually know. And if I'm brutally honest about myself, I just feel a bit professional doing it because that's what I see him do on the telly.
Fair enough.
Whether it's actually having an effect, I don't know. Now, I would assume there is something because iRacing is obviously spectacularly good at simulating everything, and tire temperature is a huge thing in this game anyway. So I'm assuming it does. To what extent, I don't know. I haven't done enough testing, but certainly you know when the tires are cold because you've got no grip, and you know when they're warm because obviously you do have grip. So there must be something in it for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there's only been like to give a quick shout out to before we go to another break and hopefully jump into the next server.
Yeah, I'll give a big shout out to my mum. Thanks very much, Jack.
Big up Mrs. Horn. What's her name?
No, she's not even watching. Oh, that was a joke. Don't
Oh,
worry.
right. I was going to say, I thought he was going to shout that out. I thought she'd have it on the TV and everything. Come on.
Yeah, no. Everyone in my family thinks I'm quite sad to be 46-year-old and sitting here playing, well, simulation games. But I don't see it as a game. This is a proper passion for me, and I've done it for years. So no, if there's any shout goes out, just to all my fellow next gen and competitors and anyone that's obviously associated with getting involved, or anyone that's watching and supporting, and yeah, long may it continue.
Don't worry, Lee. If I'm 46 and still playing, I'll consider my life succeeded, basically. We'll have a chat to you later, potentially, Lee. Good luck for the feature race. Try not to cause any safety cars.
I'll try. Yeah, thanks, Jack. All right, mate.
That was Lee Horn. I'm just putting him back into the Porsche, the PMR, the normal Discord thing. We're going to go another quick break to try and get into the next session. It's probably still loading up a little bit, but we'll be back. It's always lovely to have a chat with Lee and a few others as well. So, yeah, back in a sec. Hello and welcome back to the Porsche PMR Cup Round 6. We're about to go into the second qualifying of the evening after the first race brought us some awesome action and some safety cars as well, which we weren't expecting. We're going into the second qualifying session now, 15 minutes, and then into the feature race of the evening, a 45-minute race around one of the most beautiful, dangerous and iconic tracks in racing. It is the Mount Panorama Circuit, also known as Bathurst. Quick shout out, thank you very much to everybody who's commented, but Mark, you are wrong. Lucozade doesn't belong in a can. You know it, I know it, let's move on. Actually, you could probably start a poll on that. Does Lucozade belong in a can? I don't think it does. If anybody's wondering, Mark's one of my mates, so it's fine. Fraser Austin, thank you very much for the share. Fastar Esports, thank you very much for the like. Dave Ward, thank you for the like. I don't want to butcher the name, but thank you for the like, Naj. Matt Evans as well has given me the like, so thank you. And it was awesome to speak to Lee Horn as well on the sort of interview stage in the middle of that. Passed the time really nicely, and we are about to go into qualifying. Of course, if you didn't catch the first race, Dave Newsham ended up with the victory. I think it was sorry, I'm just trying to get something up.
That's it. I'm going to report this to me member of parliament.
So, figured out my computer now. It's only been 6 months I've been doing this. Dave Newsham ended up with the race victory. Matt Allen came home in second place, only 6 tenths behind in the end. Dave Ward, though, was a bit further back. He was 4 seconds behind, with Lee Horn in close company. Freddie Hewitt was in 5th. 6th was Michael Seal, who's come in on the comments, so thank you very much. Jamie Doy was in 7th. Callum Newsham ended up with an awesome drive. The two Newshams doing really well. Dave with his first ever win in the Porsche PMR Cup, and Callum with a extraordinary sort of recovery drive from last place after not being able to set a lap time in qualifying. Chris Knox had an unfortunate end to his race as he started in 5th place. He got his way up to 3rd and looked solid to maybe take even 2nd place. He ended up falling back down to 9th, however. I think he even fell down further than that, but there was thanks to a big crash just at the last stages of the race, meant that a few of the drivers ended up with a bit of damage and ended up almost finishing basically in the pit lane, especially Sam Holman, who was essentially the cause of the damage. He tried to go around the outside. He sent me a message saying that he had to try it on the final lap, and which is sort of a bravery I do admire. If not, probably a few of the other competitors probably wish he didn't, because he speared off into the wall, came back on the track, and went flying after contact with, I believe it was Ollie Waynes in the RAF car. Colin Martin and Wayne Douglas also had not the night to remember so far, but with any luck, their 45-minute feature race will be a little bit better for all involved. They are allowed 3 fast repairs. A 45-minute race would be a bit harsh if they didn't, especially around such a demanding track like this. I can only imagine how many fast repairs they're going to get if they go to the Nordschleife. But although if the 45-minute race around the Nordschleife, you're probably only going to get about, I don't know, 10 laps if that. So it's going to be a difficult one for them. Well, on board with Michael Seal at the moment here, though. He was in qualifying. We haven't actually seen any lap times being set as of yet, but like we said before, Dave Newsham did end up on pole. Matt Allen may well have tried to push him as close as possible, but he was actually, I think he span off himself into the wall and then came back on track and ended up being collected by his teammate Freddie Hewitt, who wasn't ideal. In fact, it wasn't Matt Allen. Sorry, I keep saying that. It was David Ward, and I don't know why I get those two mixed up. It was David Ward who ended up in the pit lane after making contact, because his teammate was Freddie Hewitt, and which makes sense because Matt Allen's the only driver who represents Misty Racing. Katie says that she expects 2 safety cars out in this race. Oh, I don't know. What are we putting bets on for safety cars in the second race of the evening? In fact, I think we can do a Facebook poll on it, can't we? Let's see if we can get that going. If I can remember how to do polls. There we go. So how many safety car laps will we have? Let's go 0 to 3 as option 1, 4 to 7, 7 to 10, and then 11 plus. So do let us know what you believe it is on Facebook. We have put the safety cars published poll. There we go. So that is, you'll be able to let me know how many safety car laps you think we're going to get. We've got 10 minutes of qualifying remaining. We've had a few of the fast laps starting to be put in. Dave Newsham currently top of the timing tower yet again. 9/10 ahead of Matt Allen. That will surely close up. Wade Douglas has actually put in a representative time against Callum Newsham. There you go, you can see the lap times there on the left-hand side of the screen as well. The middle one is the best lap time. The one on the right is their last lap time. So that is how you're going to be able to figure that one out. And obviously the one to the left sort of thing is the interval between the cars. So there you go, Chris Knox goes and put it in third place at the moment, 2:09. Remember, the pole position time in qualifying 1 was a 2 minutes and 7 seconds. So expect to see the lap times come down a little bit. And I think we'll be able to get a good representation here of someone who's just started the lap. Dave Newsham, let's see, because he's qualified in pole and won the first race, we'll go on board for a lap. Now we're starting just after the first corner here, so we're about to go up the mountain for the first time. And I'll be honest, Mount Panorama is a track that I tend to avoid, thanks to the fact that I'm not very good at sim racing, which is why I just sit here and talk about it. But as you can see, it's almost like a double apex, this left-hander. Every bit of this circuit is essentially difficult. It's really not easy. You have to use as much of the circuit as possible, as brave as you're going to be. There's curbs, there's undulations, there's walls extremely close, and also very harsh curbs as well. If you just tap one or two of these curbs too hard, you will end up in the opposite wall. Not something you want to see happen. Diving down the mountain now, we've gone over the peak, and as I said, holding on to the brakes for pretty much the entirety. Pitch it in left. Oh, Dave getting a little bit too much there. A little bit of the tap on the rear end. Imagine doing this in real life. I've heard my brother answer interview questions of some of the races and some of the circuits that he would love to drive in his career at some point, and he often says Bathurst is probably at the top end of the spectrum in terms of the ones he's always wanted to drive but's never had the opportunity. I don't see it that way. I'd be terrified. It's like trying to drive the Nordschleife. It's just terrifies me in so many ways. As you can see, a little bit of the back end. It's almost like driving an MX-5, that thing at the moment, in the hands of Dave Newsham. A little bit of a back end squeal as he sends the car around the final chicane into the final corner. Harsh on the brakes, and he twits it onto the outside of the circuit. He must have known it. He was on camera and getting a bit camera shy there, Dave. It was unfortunate that, because he was on a half decent lap. 2 green sectors, 3 not green sectors, so it may not have been a massive improvement. But he ends up in the pits. He will be able to get out potentially for one more flying lap, but currently he sits on pole position by 0.7 of a second. Will that be enough? If Matt Allen has anything to say, probably not. I'm just trying to have a look, sorry, on the polls. 50-50 split at the moment between 0 to 3 laps and 7 to 10 laps on how many safety car laps we will have. It's going to be a difficult one. I'm probably going to say Oh, I'm split. I'm going to say 4 to 7 laps, I think. I think we'll have 2 safety car periods, that basically equates to. Difficult, really, to obviously give a proper estimation. But hopefully everybody sort of keeps it nice and calm. Like Lee said, it's really down to the drivers to make sure that they don't give away so many sort of incidents and excuses for the safety cars to come out. Because obviously then we have to, you know, interrupt the racing, really, which is something we don't really want to do. Chris Knox has gone and put it in 2nd place at the moment. He's actually purpled Sector 3 as well. So he is got a good pace behind him, but he's still 0.6 of a second down. And speaking of Chris Knox, he pulled into the pit, so he clearly doesn't think he's going to go any faster than that. Matt Allen then starts another lap. Freddie Hewitt is putting in nothing but green times. That's what's moved him up to 4th place. Callum Newsham as well, after that recovery drive and not setting a lap time in the first qualifying, he ends up in, at the moment, 5th place. Sam Holman sets his first lap time. I think he was warming his car up a little bit there as well, though, to be fair. He's put himself 15th. Matthew Addy hasn't yet set a lap time. This is Michael Seal, though, in the other fast R car. Plummeting down the mountain he goes. He's in 16th at the moment. Last of the drivers that have actually set a time. Freddie Hewitt, his teammate, though, he's only going to put quicker lap times in by the looks of it. He's, in fact, no, his current lap time is actually a little bit slower. Matt Allen's put in a purple Sector 3. So he looks like he may be on the charge for potentially knocking Chris Knox away from that 2nd place. Whether or not it'll be enough to knock Dave Newsham away will be a different story. I can't see how much faster Matt Allen was on that sector than our pole sitter currently, Dave Newsham. But 0.6 of the gap, 7.5 is the gap between Matt and Dave currently, who both of the drivers in front of Matt are in the pits as well at the moment. So it's going to be an almighty effort. If Matt does end up dethroning either one of these drivers, it will be the last thing that he does. It's also the last thing any of these guys do as well. Dave Newsham has come out of the pits. So has Callum Newsham. They've only got 2 minutes left to go on this one, though. So they're going to have to get around in what will be a pole-sitting lap just on their outlap just to get another flying lap in, if that makes sense. I think they've both pulled into the pits now. But as Matt Allen comes across the line, he's setting another green time as well. He's going to come across 2:08.8. Not quick enough. He went a 10th faster than he went before, but it's still not fast enough to dethrone Chris Knox. And nowhere near Dave Newsham, who seems to have this track absolutely nailed. I wonder how he spent his Christmas. I think Colin Martin's snuck his way. Oh, I'll tell you what, Wayne Douglas has just snuck his way into the top 5 as well. So Callum Newsham been put down to 7th. Wayne Douglas locking up into the first corner. Ends up, that's the number 8 car coming out as well. There's some extremely late calls for these drivers to come out. They only have basically a minute to get round and start another flying lap, which for a lot of these cars won't be enough. In fact, for none of these cars would be enough. Dave Ward, he's all the way down 9th place at the moment, but he's setting 3 green sectors so far. He's actually on his way down towards the back end of the circuit, so let's see how he gets on. He's put in another green sector now. He's missed the first apex, so he's going to have to try and hook up the second, which he runs along. Going down into the final corner. Crucial that he doesn't lock up now. He is setting a better time than he was. The 2:08.1 is the pole time. It's a good final corner. He gets a good run out. It's a 2:10.4. Not good enough for Dave Ward then. It's a 2:09.3. Took a while to update that. It's still not good enough, really. He only moves up a couple of positions. In fact, Dave Ward, Lee Horn, and Callum Newsham are extremely close to each other. Freddie Hewitt sticking in some green times. In fact, one of them's purple, but all of them's also in the wall. He won't be going any faster as he looks like he probably just ended up locking up. Let's have a look if we can catch that. Oh, wow. That is a lock-up and a half. Wow, oh wow. We can only get over to him as he's still locking up. So that is one hell of a lockup. And into the wall goes Freddie Hewitt. He will not be improving. Hope this pole can stick for Dave Newsham. I think Cara, the van, I think you're going to be in luck, to be honest, because it doesn't look like there's anybody out there currently rotating that looks like they're going to be able to hold a candle to him at the moment. He's obviously hooked up the Bathurst circuit, Mountain Panorama. I wonder if he's driven it before. Again, he's one of these drivers that I would love to have a chat to him. I would love to be able to bring him in, have a chat to him about real-life racing, sim racing, and all this sort of insight. Of how it sort of works out and whether he's sort of getting himself into it, whether he's enjoying it in X, Y, Z, whether it's a sort of father-son bonding thing. But he's just not in the Discord. And apparently he does have Discord. We set it up for him. Well, I didn't, but the next gen guy set it up for him in the PMR series. But he just unfortunately just doesn't enter the chat, which is a bit of a shame. If you are watching this, Dave, then by all means, send us a message. Ask someone how to do it. And we'll drag you in for a chat because it'd be great to have. Oh, even Callum, either one of you. Love to have a chat with either of you. So we're just waiting for the final couple of drivers to come across the line at the moment. I think Wayne Douglas is just enjoying himself up the mountain. I don't think, well, he is setting some quicker times. Michael Seal is, he's actually just crossed the line and put himself in 10th place, just possessing Thomas Delaney in his attempt to gain it. I think this Wayne Douglas, I think this lap does count, to be fair. So we will keep an eye on him and see how he improves. In fact, let's go onto a roll bar as he's coming down the Concord straight. And that shouldn't be too much further now. He is on green sectors. He's actually currently in 5th place as well. So he's one of the drivers that didn't quite make it in the... he didn't have the best luck in the first race, let's put it that way. And as he goes into the second, it looks like, a bit like Callum Newsham, he's going to improve an awful lot. Good hooking up with the first apex, runs it nicely round the second. Not too wide on the exit as well. He's only a couple of tenths off Freddie Hewitt here, who obviously was going very quickly. Nicely through. Very controlled driving here by Wayne Douglas. Let's see where it's going to put him. It was a 209.2 was his fastest. And it doesn't look like that actually counted at all. So Wayne Douglas doesn't improve or anything on that last lap. Unfortunate, because it did look really rather smart. So going into the race then. Dave Newsham on pole position with Chris Knox in 2nd place this time. He qualified 5th in the first race. Matt Allen was in 3rd with Freddie Hewitt in 4th. Wayne Douglas looked like he was going quicker, but ended up without a lap time in that final on-board lap. He's in 5th. Colin Martin in 6th. Callum Newsham 7th place. Dave Ward 8th. Lee Horn in 9th. Michael Seal in 10th. With Thomas Delaney 11th and Jeff Purkis in 12th place. 13th saw Jochen Sigert with Ollie Wayne in 14th. Jamie Dorian 15th. Sam Holman in 16th. And Matthew Addy in 17th place without a lap time. So as we're looking at them now then, we'll be able to have a quick gander at a few of the drivers that have improved from the first qualifying into the second. It does, this sort of format does offer the opportunity to improve your time, obviously get a little bit more back. It's quite crucial to have, otherwise in the sprint race you can really ruin your evening. The likes of Callum Newsham, he ended up in 17th on the grid. He then got to around about 9th, I believe. He finished the first race, but he's actually qualified in 7th place, so it's really done well for him. Lee Horn, though, he obviously finished in 4th place. He's qualified in 9th, so it does work the other way as well. Dave Newsham, though, he qualified on pole in the first race, qualified on pole in the second race. He also won the first race, and let's see if that pattern is to continue. We are gridding up now. We're lights are going to be coming on. We're about to have the engine notes rise as we're going to go into the second race of the evening. The 5 lights are on, and we are away for the final race of the evening here at Bathurst. Dave Newsham gets a good start away. Matt Allen yet again trying to pile the pressure on, who's jumped a position from a lot of others. I'm not entirely sure. Chris Knox hasn't taken the starting line. So Chris Knox qualified on second. He wasn't there. I'm not sure what happened to him. But at the moment then, it's Matt Allen and Dave Newsham back yet again fighting for that top place on the podium. 45 minutes we've got to go. And they're already going side by side in the background. Colin Martin and Callum Newsham, this is. Nice and close little battles here. That's Lee Horn and Jochen Siggert in the background as well. Getting nice and close to the next gen, guys. A little bump at the backside for Colin Martin by Callum. Means that he just about sorts themselves out. Remember, a safety car did appear on lap 1 last time round. Let's see if they do any better this time. We're about to go down the mountain as we come across through the fast double left-hander. Really fast sort of pace chicane this. It can really catch you out. You can send so much speed in, and that's what can happen. I said it can catch you out. Colin Martin ends up with a big crash. A driver on his roof. A few of the drivers in the wall, as well as the 61 car of... Oh, there's more on their roofs as well. And this is going to be a safety car, I believe. There we go. Pinged straight away. And I believe, unfortunately, one of them is Ollie Wayne yet again, who hasn't had any luck at all. Jamie Dory is been in the walls. Callum Newsham has also been in the walls. And we'll try and break that down a little bit. I said that the safety car was going to come out at some point. We were bang on. Who had the lap 1 though? That's the bingo. We will nag them on Newsham. Nag them on Newsham nutters. You do that, car. Come on, bring them into the. Get them into the commentary booth. Unfortunate for Callum, though. I'm sure he must be gutted on that one. Well, let's have a little bit of a breakdown of what happened. It's a bit of an ironic way of saying it, a breakdown, but... So, Wayne Douglas here. This is his crash. He comes down the hill. Oh, he taps the wall, and he gets it all loose. So, actually, that's a completely unrelated crash. That was just unfortunate for him. Wayne Douglas... Oh, is it going to be an unrelated crash? Oh, that's a difficult one. He ends up parked on the racing line. Oh, goodness. I'm glad I kept watching that one. That was actually after all the other crash. So, because a lot of those cars that are coming past him now are the ones that are beaten up. So, in fact, no, we've had an absolute ton of crashes. Let's go further back. This is Colin Martin's crash then. So, we were on board with him at the time. And as he comes down... Oh, no, that's... Sorry. Sorry about this. So this is back again with Colin Martin. I pressed live instead of the quarter speed button. As he comes down, he gets... he just loses the rear end. Cold tyres, not enough downforce on the rear. And he ends up getting spat back out onto the circuit. Unfortunately, that collects with the number 61 car of Michael Seal, who then spits into the side of the number 5 of Thomas Delaney, who actually gets away with it, you could argue. And Colin Martin comes back on the circuit. This is from Callum Newsham's perspective. He comes down the hill. Ends up just actually hooking it up wrong himself. So it's actually self-inflicted. But that meant that a few other cars came into the side of him. And I believe one of these cars is going to go flying. Although I could be wrong. I'm wrong on that one. This is Michael Seal's perspective. So he was the one I think went straight into Colin Martin. And as he comes down the hill, there we go. Straight into Colin Martin. And he gets ended up on his roof. There we go. Yeah, that is not ideal. He ends up in the middle of the circuit. And I think he goes back on his roof. So I really hope Michael Seal is not in VR. Because if he's in VR, then he's in for a bit of an ill time. Jamie Dory also had a crash after the yellow flag came out. So what happens here? This is after the yellow. Oh, there's the cars going flying. So the yellow has been brought out. And it's actually in the same incident. It's just the fact that the yellows have been brought out already. And that's what happened there. Wayne Douglas then. This is the crash that we just saw before, I believe. Completely on his own. This is under yellow flag conditions. And loses it. This is Ollie Wayne as well. This incident isn't amongst everything else. iRacing doesn't like to categorise this stuff. Colin Martin looks like he's had another incident. I think this is actually crashing into Wayne Douglas, who was obviously left stranded in the middle of the road. You can hear Wayne Douglas's crash and straight into the side of him. I believe one last crash that we have on the database is Wayne Douglas's yet again. He won't be very happy that I'm showing this, and he goes straight into the wall. He's already got a damaged car. They do have 3 fast repairs on this race. So I'm not sure how many laps we've had. In fact, I can find out. We're still on the second lap of the race, as we're going to come up to the sort of final area of the circuit. Chris Knox is in the pit still, by the looks of it. He's hasn't taken. In fact, he's not here at all. Wayne Douglas is in the pits, getting his fast repair. I imagine they're allowed 3 fast repair for anybody who doesn't know. In iRacing, there's a whole host of drivers going into it now. Just means basically you can tick a box, and instead of sitting there for 45 minutes because you got a written off car, you sit there for 30 seconds and the car gets magically fixed. You can limit the amount of time depending on you can limit the amount of fast repairs depending on how harsh you want to be. Basically, a lot of the times we don't have fast repairs for a lot of the leagues that we do, because we want to try and make it realistic, and we try and make it sort of more it makes people sort of pay attention a little bit more, because you know you can't get away with a crash. You end up with, you know, a half an hour repair time. But some occasions, Bathurst seems to be one of them, it is probably required. And Nordschleife is another one that we often see as well. Matt Allen's not a fan of safety car. Why are you typing whilst under say? Are you weaving and typing, Matt? Because if so, I want a video of that. That'd be pretty damn impressive. Not a fan of the safety cars. Yeah, unfortunately, the safety cars are a bit. I mean, this sort of period is a bit gutted, but it does mean that people get brought back in. You can do the fast repairs, get brought back into the race. I don't know. I think for the 15-minute race, probably not worth it. But I think for a 45-minute race, if we look at the likes of Michael Seal, he's actually repaired his car fully, and you can see on the track map at the top right of your screen, he's actually going to be able to catch up with the other drivers. I think what's happened to Wayne Douglas is that you have to, as you go into the pits, you have to tick a box that says, activate my fast repair. I don't think Wayne Douglas has done that, which is why he's still sat there not doing anything. I could be wrong. He could just have decided that it's not going well for him, and my Google has just turned on. He could have just decided that was not going well for him, and he doesn't want to do it anymore. But as the safety car lights are off, we are starting to warm the tyres back up. We are about to go up the mountain, so I will just have a double check on a couple of other things. On the most part, though, I hope everybody's enjoying the stream. It's we do often like to be a little bit more relaxed when we're just streaming on Jacko Racing. It's just me. The main reason is because if I'm going to sit here and talk to myself, I might as well talk to myself without putting the full commentary voice and sort of persona on. Obviously, we do turn it on when we're working for other people, but when we're just chilling and it's the safety car period in the next gen league, then it's always worth sort of just having a bit more of a relax, having a chat to you guys on the stream, the comments. We are about to go racing car, don't you worry about a thing. But yeah, that's why I'm always encouraging anybody who wants to chat on the stream. I will try and chat back to you, basically. It'll be lovely to have you guys along. As the safety car lights are off, finally. Down the Concord straight, then weaving of the tyres. Dave Newsom's going to hope to convert his safety car restart to a race lead just like he did in the first race. He's had to contend with starting on pole position for both of these races, and now he's also had to contend with the fact that he's had a safety car restart on both of these races. Matt Allen, I'm sure, will be fed up of seeing the backside of Dave Newsom's car, and I can't believe he's gone already because the safety car is still in his way. Catherine Lindberg, thank you very much for the like. But as we now wait for the safety car, I think Dave Newsham did go a little bit early there. Maybe it was just to try and warm the tyres up through the chicane. The safety car is going to dive in. There we go. When's he going to... Oh, he's giving a little brake test for Matt Allen there. Ooh, they're going very slowly. And now he's gone. Was that a little bit of a brake test? Ooh, I'm not sure where there. But they are away now, and it's a bit of a loose end by Freddie Hewitt by the looks of it. Actually, that might let David Ward back in. But the looks of it, Matt Allen has just about kept with Dave Newsham for now. The number 16 car has actually got out now, so he's a couple of laps down. Didn't do the Vassal Bell. Oh, tell you what, that is a good catch by Lee Horn in the background there, coming out of the first corner. But we're going to keep an eye on this little battle now, because we want to keep a look on Matt Allen, who's going up the inside into the mountain. Not quite able to get there, as Dave Newsham just about closes that door off, and I think this is going to be a 45-minute battle. I hope it is anyway. Jeff Perkis, though, in the background is having a little ding-dong with Lee Horn. These guys know each other well. They are fully experienced in the WTCR Race Room series that we mentioned before. Jeff, ever the consistent finisher in that series, meant that he was actually third in the championship in the end, although his probably average finishing position was about 4th, 5th or 6th. He seemed to always finish there, but thanks to the fact that he's always picking up points, he meant that he was actually in with a chance, an outside chance granted, but a chance at the lead of the championship. Matt Allen is really closing up though on Dave Newsham at the front of this field. And it's like, to be fair, from the safety car perspective, it is like having a couple of restarts, isn't it? It's quite nice to have these guys all bunched back up together again, flying up this mountain as the sun starts to set here at Bathurst. Down a nice little line there by Dave Newsham. Is that a little bit of a lock-up? I didn't see who by. Might have been by Dave. I think it was by Matt Allen, though, because he didn't quite get the run. And Dave may well be away with the fairies here a little bit. He doesn't have to worry, anyway, about the slipstream attack from Matt at the moment. Matt Allen, obviously, he is on the championship top step currently. But Dave is chasing him down with heavy heels going into the final chicane, though. Lee Horn and Jeff Perkis are indeed having their little dins on. I think Sam Holman and Damie Dory as well. Is that Callum Newsham's car who's been in the wars? Thomas Delaney's had a crash. Let's see if that was anything to do with Callum. He's going side by side with Jamie Dory, though. Callum Newsham goes back through, and this is Colin Martin to go through as well. Will he follow Callum? There's a bit of a lock-up in front. Oh, Colin Martin can't quite make the gap, and actually that's Lee Horn off as well. So we'll be able to have a look and see what Lee Horn did. Hasn't triggered a safety car just yet. Jamie Dory and Callum still going side by side. Callum goes through Colin Martin, really trying to push in the fast R car there. Sam Holman's corking the bottle now. Going down the first straight and into the mountain. They're going to go side by side. They're going to be 2 by 2. Hurrah, hurrah, say the hymns in the background. Callum getting ahead of the fast R car, but he's not having any of it. Colin Martin and Jamie Dory going side by side as well. There's going to be contact at some point with a wall, with each other, with a curve. I don't know quite what. But to be fair, they've all gone through nicely there. Jochen Siggert as well, edged in the background, hoping to pick off some loose pieces. Going into the first of the sort of tricky sections. A little bit wide there goes Jamie Dory, and that maybe leaves the potential room for Colin Martin to sling up the inside to carry some momentum up the hill. It's all about momentum as you go up this place. It's all about stopping the car as you come all the way down as well. So the tyres and the brakes really do get a battering. Let's have a look and see what happened to Ollie Wayne in the RAF car. Going through the flat right, and oh, I thought he was going to lose it. Into the chicane. Oh, he does lose it through the first chicane, and oh, tell you what, I'm not sure who that was, but he did a very good job at avoiding it. Lee Horn's had an off as well. He was battling with Jeff Perkis after such a good race one. Touches the grass on the outside, comes back on, touches it again, and goes jackknife left. Does he head into anybody? Oh, tell you what, how lucky can you get? Jeff Perkis there. That was very scary. He just touched the outside of the grass there under braking Lee Horn. And after that incredible race one that he had, it's all come down downhill. Here's Ollie Wayne as well. Oh, straight into the Etihad wall. Again, this is how unforgiving Bathurst can be. Little too much of your wheel onto the grass left or right, and all of a sudden you're into a wall. There is no runoff. You're in the mountain for a reason. So Dave Newsham is still leading Matt Allen as it stands. Callum Newsham is in 7th place. And actually, there's quite a big gap, to be fair, from 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th Freddie Hewitt down to Matthew Addy at the moment. Matthew Addy having a better run of it than he did in the first race. It has to be said. Up the inside goes Matt Allen, though, into the mountain section. Not quite Dave Newsham. He's not defending this. He knows full well where he's strong. He knows where he's stronger than Matt Allen. Years of leading races and winning championships has trained him for this simulator battle, I'm sure, between Matt and himself. I'll bring up the driver championship standings in a little bit when everything calms down just a touch, if they calm down just a touch. We've had a crash by Matthew Addy. Matthew Addy has had a crash after I was just saying how well he's done, and I think it's a big one. In the background there is Colin Martin as the Cases UK driver just goes through up the hill. Is that a rear end loose? Yep. Pushed around potentially by Callum. Up in the air. Up in the air again. Up in the air again. And it's like a yo-yo at the moment. And that is probably the end of Matthew Addy's little trip out in Bathurst for now. Is he going to try and get it back going? Oh, is he going to park it on the apex? Out the way. Is there a car coming? Oh, I'll tell you what, that is dangerous. York and Siggott as well has had a crash with Colin Martin. Was just after, yeah, it was just before actually. And I think then they have a coming together because they're trying to avoid the incident, unfortunately. And lastly, Matthew Eddy does get back going with a very broken engine by the looks of it. So, not ideal for him at all. So, still Dave Newsham in the lead. And actually, I tell you what, Freddie Hewitt has caught up quite nicely as these two are battling a little bit too tight to gain any sort of traction. And everybody else, it seems, because of that sort of close battle that we've just seen, a lot of drivers sort of falling over each other. Everybody's sort of backed off a little bit and gapped themselves. So as we go into the 17th minute of this 45-minute race, we're sort of bordering on being halfway, nearly. Sort of, not really. 5 minutes away from being halfway, but you get what I mean. It's gone pretty quickly. And I'm surprised to see that actually didn't call another safety car out, to be honest, after what we saw before. A couple of drivers in the pit lane now. I'll bring up the track map and see where everybody is. In fact, the track map is already up. Apologies, it's on the top right-hand side of your screen. So a couple of drivers really far down the order. That's 15th place is Wayne Douglas. You can see him, he's just at the bottom of the hill. Now Matthew, no, it's not Ollie Wayne, just coming up to the final corner. 13th is Sam Holman. He's just currently leaving the pit lane. So this is the closest battle they have on circuit at the moment. And I'll tell you what, it's gone from just over a second between each other to well under a couple of tenths, well under half a second. Matt Allen in second place, really trying to pile the pressure on, but Freddie Hewitt has been dragged along here really rather successfully. He's actually just set the purple lap of the race as well, so he's a lot faster. He gained about 3 or 4 tenths on the drivers in front of him, meaning that he's actually able to sort of get in on this battle. And I tell you what, if this is carried on, then we're in for a right treat. Quite often in these 45-minute races, especially now that we've sort of gone down the numbers a little bit. We used to have about 25 drivers taking part, nearly 30 drivers taking part. It's sort of died down a little bit. The 45-minute sessions can be more like an endurance race, but this is more like a sprint race as Matt Allen is now up the inside down Concord Straight. He's going to be on the outside for the chicane, but he's going to be the last of the late breakers. He makes the first apex as well. So Dave Newsham has to slot into second place with Freddie Hewitt in third. Matt Allen leads the second feature race of the feature race of the evening. Freddie Hewitt, I'm sure, will be watching that thinking, okay, well, maybe I have an idea of where I can attack Dave Newsham now. Just keeping a slipstream. Dave Ward, actually, just in the background, is actually... Dave Ward is the fastest of any of these drivers so far. He's 2 tenths quicker than Freddie Hewitt. He's nearly a second quicker than Dave Newsham and Matt Allen on that final lap. So, actually, you could argue that this may well turn into a 4-way battle, which is everything we want and more, to be honest. I'd be happy with a 2-way battle for the race lead. A 4-way battle with 2 Fast R guys and Misty Racing and Dave Newsham in the mix is... Oh, if that doesn't just whet your appetite, I don't know what will. Let's hear your pro voice then. To be honest, I'm doing my pro voice most of the time when we're actually racing. It's just when the racing sort of dies down, we have a safety car period, and I sort of go into a bit more of a relaxed, chatty way. But yeah, it does. Otherwise, I'll lose my voice quite quickly, to be honest. But yeah, so it's at this sort of period we tend to go a little bit calmer. But as soon as things start getting heated up again, don't worry, we'll be back. Matthew Addy has now left the pit lane, and everyone is currently rotating on the circuit for now. I'm sure what we don't want to do is bring out a safety car just yet. It'd be great to sort of see a little bit more racing develop, everybody get into some positions, catching up a few of the drivers as well, and then maybe another safety car in about 10 minutes would be sort of set the final sprint race effectively for the final 15 minutes really well. And we are 20 minutes into this 45-minute session, well, 21 minutes into this 45-minute session now, so bordering on halfway. It's been a very interesting battle. I tell you what, between these two, it's basically been a sprint race, and one that I am very much enjoying. Matthew Addy has unfortunately left the pit lane and had another crash. And because these two have calmed down just for a touch, unfortunately, Matthew going to have a look at it. Going down through the fast left, very committed, and cold tyres out the pit lane. Straight into the side with the sim cube. Oh, I tell you what, Wayne Douglas, I think that was, just getting past. Lovely. Chris Knox actually still hasn't taken to the track at all, so I'm going to guess that he is disconnected fully from this race. Matt Allen, though, he's still in the lead by Dave Newsham, just behind, though, going into the mountainous section now. Dave Newsham gives him something to think about. Far too far back to go for a dive into the mountains, though. And tell you what, that's something to think about. Really might have worked, actually, because it's a bit of a late turn-in by Matt Allen. Did manage to just about get the car turned in the end, but he really had to slow it down a lot more than I'm sure he would like. Keep in mind that this is doing nothing for their tyres. No good whatsoever. The tyres will be really getting punished now, especially down the mountain, as the brakes start to fade potentially. The air is a bit cooler, but it's still going to be a difficult sort of session, and that's when we're going to see a lot more mistakes in terms of the rear wheels getting span up by a few other drivers. We'll see a lot of crashes in the final 10-15 minutes. It seems to be the way of the sort of Porsche racing. It just seems to be it. It's a difficult car to drive at the end of the day. If you're watching this thinking, yeah, I'll pick up iRacing, how hard can it be? The Porsche is not the place to start. It's just not. MX-5s are decent. You get one of them free. So they're always, well, I say free. Obviously, you have to sign up to iRacing, but they're always a good place to start. But the Porsches are not an easy car to drive. If anything, I would jump in the MX-5s. I'd work your way up. The Cayman GT4 is quite a good little car. We actually started the season with GT4 racing in this series as well. Just put a pin in that because I think Dave Newsham might be having a look. He's nowhere near alongside yet. It's going to be a massive lunge into the side of the Misty Racing car if he tries to pull it off, which he doesn't for now. But you can tell that these guys are not going to let this one die. And if anything, it's probably a little bit easier for Dave Newsham in the slipstream. It's always easier to chase than to be chased. But yeah, if you're going to jump on iRacing, as I said, do not jump it straight into a Porsche. Go in the MX-5s. Porsche GT4 is quite a good car to jump in after an MX-5. It's a little bit lively, but a bit more like a GT car. A bit easier. And then you can potentially go for maybe a GT3 car or a GT4. They have full ABS and stuff. GTE isn't the easiest car to drive, so don't be fooled for going GTE. That's what I did, and it was awful. GT4, GT3 cars are a little bit better. And then these cars are GT3 911s, so they are very, very fast. 550 odd brake horsepower, all going to the rear wheels as well. Proper downforce. Very, very well made cars and brilliant to drive if you can hook them up right. But they're difficult to hook up right, as you're seeing a lot of crashes up and down the field. Jamie Dory and Callum Newsham, though. Two drivers going hammer and tongs. And I'll tell you what, how is Callum Newsham racing that car right now? Because it looks like it's been punched in the face, to be honest. It's looking really rather sad. It's still going quite nicely, though, in 6th place. And it's battling hard with the race organiser, Jamie Dory, as well. One of the next-gen admins, along with Lee Horner, who we had a chat with before in the intermission. Oh, going very wide there. Maybe that's something to do with the aero not quite hanging on with him. He goes wide there as well, and he may well be under pressure and under danger here from Jamie Dory. But again, in this sort of narrow section of the Bathurst circuit, you can't really make a massive lunge without risking it all. So at the moment, it looks like Callum and Jamie just about chilling out for a second. Let's have a look. Every time they come onto the Concord Straight, though, we've got to have a look because it's where Matt got Dave, and it could be where Dave gets Matt. Not quite this lap, though. Oh, rear end going round for Dave Newsham, and he's off the circuit. Oh, we were saying about how much he's improved and how well he's going. He won the first race. He qualified on pole for both of these races. Unfortunately, it's just a moment of too much speed through the corner means that Dave Newsham ends up down to 4th place, gutting for Dave there, and it's the end of what was a fantastic little race. Jamie Dory and Callum Newsham have swapped places, and it's a flash of the lights by Michael Seal as well, and Lee Horn's coming up behind. We may have another. Oh, and just like that, Callum Newsham's done himself the same thing as he did as his dad did. Oh, it's a family trait, and a little bit too heavy on the acceleration pedal there, unfortunately, from Callum. I think that was a slightly different incident. Colin Martin goes into the wall. I told you there'll be tyre wear on the rear wheels. We're seeing that with an abundance now. So let's have a look at Dave Newsham's off. I think that's a case of taking too much speed into the corner, overestimating the amount of grip the rear tyres will have, but not necessarily using the loud pedal. And then the Callum Newsham one. This is the Callum. Can't quite get that picture. But the Callum Newsham one, I think he was on the exit, so I think they was just a little bit too keen. Colin Martin did exactly the same. Dave Newsham's had another crash as well. He was in 4th place. He's got Jeff Perkins just behind him in this replay. Up the mountain. Oh, a twitch there. A twitch again. Tries to get the car turned in, and the car's just unhappy. He's taken a lot of life out of those tyres so far. I believe he's had yet another crash as well. I believe he's had his 3rd crash in the matter of half a lap. Tyres overheating. Let's have a look. He's going up the mountain now. Just about gets it turned in. Pitches the car into the left-hand side. It seems all calm, nice and collected. Not entirely sure. Jochen Sigurt's had a crash though. Let's have a look and we'll go back to Dave Newsham's crash in a minute. Down the mountain he goes, into the right-hander. Is this an over-rotation? Oh, no, it's because Dave Newsham's parked there. Oh, days, it's gone from bad to worse. And as we cut away from Dave is when he actually had this incident. So, down the mountain he goes. Oh, a clip on the inside right. And that sends him spinning. And that, without that spatial awareness of really being in the car. Oh, no, he's going to drive forward, isn't he? He's going to drive forward. Oh, dear. He's on the rev limiter. Trying to spin the front wheels up. Goes onto the racing line. Hello, Jochen Sigurd. Straight into the side of him. So that is gutting. Dave was doing fantastically well as well. As were most of the drivers on the grid at the moment. We're almost into the final 15 minutes. Colin Martin's had another crash. Matt Allen is having a nice time of it now, though. Michael Seal, though, and Jamie Dory. Callum Newsham is not a problem for these guys anymore, so they're just fighting between themselves now. It's a next-gen... it's a fast R sandwich with next-gen bookending it. Lee Horn at the back, Jamie Dory at the front, Michael Seal in the middle. Colin Martin's had a crash, so let's very quickly have a look at that before we go back live. And the front end of his Porsche is pretty easy to see why he would have a crash. I can't believe he wouldn't come into the pits, to be honest, as well. Since they have 3 fast repairs, unless he's already used them. In fact, he just pulls over. Maybe that's why. Dave is just having a rest. Is that what you call parking on the racing line? Oh, Cara. Yeah, I can see why you'd be like, oh no, sort of thing. It's yeah, it's good. He was doing so well. Like, he was smashing it. Like, I keep going back to it, but compared to he is easily the most improved driver of this series, in my opinion. After watching the 5 rounds that I've seen, Dave Newsham easily the most improved driver. That as I said, I've seen. He's gone from being 3 or 4 laps down at Brands to winning races and qualifying on pole position as well. That's the impressive bit. He did it twice. It wasn't a fluke or anything like that. He's absolutely smashed it. And it is really gutting that he ended up smashing into a wall. Yeah, absolutely gutting, to be honest. So Matt Allen has taken the race lead. As a consequence, Freddie Hewitt has inherited second place. Dave Ward's actually in third, Jeff Perkis in fourth, and then it's this battle, the closest that we've got on circuit, Jamie Dory, Michael Seal and Lee Horn. Michael Seal certainly didn't have the race that he wanted in race one. Often have a quick chat with Michael. He's a nice guy, to be fair. He was the one who I was messaging. He always sends me the pictures for the thumbnails, and they're always top quality photos as well. So keep them coming, Michael, and anybody else who's watching this stream as well. If you want your car on the front of the thumbnail, then I'm always looking for a variety of cars. So if you're doing any testing during the week or anything, or if you're looking back at the replay and you want to send us a photo of it, oh no, Jamie Dory's gone into a wall. Jamie Dory looks like he's just carried too much pace in there. He didn't get the car slowed down at all, and that's actually given Michael 5th place. And Jamie, who was running really solid, and if anything, he looked like he was pulling away from the other two battling. He's now ended up behind both of them, and I'm sure he'll be on to his teammate Lee Horn, saying, okay, that's my mistake, let's go and let's catch him again. Dave Newsham's had another crash. Jochen Sigert has also had another crash. Hopefully, this time not into each other. Dave Newsham's car is looking all shiny and new. I think that's Callum just behind him. He's just come out the pit lane, and he goes straight on at the first corner. No, he's going to get collected. No, he's not. Callum just about drives around him. But Dave there underestimating the cold tyres, I believe, and Callum's car still looking really rather beaten up. Jochen Sigert as well. This isn't straight out of the pits because it's towards the end of the lap. But he's yet again having a nice shiny new car. Goes into the chicane. Too much speed carried in there. And these cars are built on a knife edge. You have to be really careful with them. They're like that in real life as well. It's not like the sim has done them unjust or anything like that. They are like that. Oh, hello. Speaking of things that we like, Michael Seal and Lee Horn going side by side. Lee Horn's got the inside the Fast Star car, just hunkered up behind it. I'm sure Lee will be getting the message to say he's up your inside again because the Fast Star car. Oh, no over rotation there. I thought maybe Lee had carried too much speed in, but just about got away with it. And now it's up to Jamie Dory to catch back up and maybe overtake the Fast R car. Will they be working together? It's back to being a Fast R sandwich with the bookends being the next gen team. It just so happens that the next gen team have swapped positions over. For a 45-minute race, as I said, they had a tendency to be hit and miss since the numbers have got lower in this series. But I have to say, in this race here at Bathurst, I shouldn't be surprised because Bathurst is an amazing circuit. Hello! Giving a flash to the lights on the stream, maybe. It's an amazing circuit, and oh, Lee Horn, don't be flashing your lights if you're going to go wide. Michael Seal goes back through. Concentrate on the racing, boys. Come on. Get your braking points right. And I'm sure if we have a chat to Lee after this, he won't be very pleased with that. But it's a wide by Michael, and Lee just can't take advantage though because it's so dangerous to go side by side in this section. There is only really one route, and I tell you what, this is a proper race here, isn't it? It's a ding-dong to go down in the ages for the next gen Porsche PMR Cup League. It's brilliant, really. It's one that we'll be remembering, I think. 33 minutes in out of 45. As I said, normally the 45 minutes aren't necessarily the most exciting. But I'm a fan of sprint racing normally, so 15-minute races, give me 4 of them any day. But the 45-minute ones sometimes can be a bit hit and miss. Certainly a hit tonight, I have to say. Not sure about Team Newsham tonight. What do you mean, Cara? They've qualified and won a race. Give them a bit of props. Just not having the best of evenings in the second race. I'll give you that one. Callum is in 8th place, though, and he is up 1 position, I believe. No, sorry, he's down 1 position. Qualified 7th. Oh, qualified 9th. Let's have a look at a few of the drivers that gained the most positions. In fact, we're pretty much looking at one of them now. Jamie Dory's gained 8 positions. Jeff Perkis, who is a driver we haven't seen awfully that much because he's in pretty much no man's land. 8 seconds to the car in front and 6 seconds to the car behind. He is in 4th place and just enjoying his sunset drive round a mountain in Bathurst, to be honest, and I can't blame him. Sam Holmer, he's gained 6 positions. Oh, who's that? Callum Newsham's had an off, just as we were saying about how good he was doing as well. It's gutting for him. We'll be able to have a quick look at that and see how he's gotten on. And see how he I think it's just no rotation. too much speed, but we'll have a look. He just goes straight on by the looks of it. The car is really overreacting to everything he's inputting. And I think that's just a sign of a broken car, to be honest. So, just as I was saying about how Callum was flying the flag for Team Newsham, his car lets him down, unfortunately. Sam Holman, he's gained 7 positions as well. The Fast R car that ended up in the air at the end of the first round. He came onto the Discord to me and said that you know, he thought he might as well go for it. He might as well try. And to be fair, he tried. And if his objective was to see who could fly the highest, he succeeded. Oh, we've just cut to it, and Michael Seal and Jamie Dory have both ended up in the wall. I'm not sure if there was any contact there, but there's a few flashes of the lights. Jamie Dory looks like he's a dog ready to try and play with his teammate. I think maybe he tapped Michael Seal around, that's why he didn't go past him. Let's have a look. This is Michael Seal, that's Jamie Dory behind him. As they come round. Oh, there may have been contact there. Let's have a look. So as they come down the hill, Jamie Dory is sending a lot of speed in. It's this bit here. He's going for the earlier apex. He's sending more speed in than Michael. Oh, there's a definite hit there, isn't there? If we watch that at full speed. And listen to the crunch. There isn't much of it. There isn't much of a crunch. But the fact that Jamie then reverses, waits for Michael to get going, sort of flashing him, he could have easily gone round him then. That shows that Jamie knows he did wrong. Unfortunately, Ollie Wayne's had an off as well in the RAF car. He really hasn't had a good time of it so far tonight, Ollie Wayne's. Yeah, a little bit. I think the car is just too damaged. It's similar to Callum Newsham. Just ended up with a car that's unhappy, basically. So everybody's spread out a little bit. Matt Allen is still leading this race as we go into the final 7 minutes. My maths let me down there a little bit. 7 minutes of this race, by the looks of it. So I'd like to thank everybody for giving a like on the channel as well. A follow if you've been watching. Brilliant all the way through as well. That's, I mean, such an honour. We always have really great viewing numbers for this series, and it's thanks to the next gen guys, the racers themselves sharing the stream and everything, and you guys for tuning in for so long as well. Thank you so much for all of it. And you know, so far we've only had one safety car period, which is awesome. But we are about, the reason why I'm on board with Matt Allen is because at this point in the race, everybody's spaced themselves out relatively nicely now. So we're going to, actually the closest battle is between Freddie Hewitt and Matt Allen, 1.5 seconds between each other. We're actually going to go on board with Matt Allen now. So if Matt's watching, don't feel like there's any pressure, don't worry. You're just on camera in front of everyone, 40 minutes into a race that you've been leading without any pressure. And away you go. Through the first corner, nice and hooked up. A rather simple first corner, it has to be said. There's no sort of massive dramatics with it, unlike the rest of the circuit. Down the main, or the first straight, I should say, over the crest. A potential overtaking opportunity, but not a late lunge opportunity, that's for sure, because it's a long apex, and it's a really close wall on the outside of the left there. We had a look at this in qualifying, but we're going to keep an eye on it, because Matt Allen currently smashing it. So, again, that double apex, really close to the right-hand side there. This is where you really need your good spatial awareness. Those with VR probably have an advantage over the likes of those with a single monitor, especially. This is where you need triple monitors, really, especially if you're going too wide with the other competitors. Don't touch the curb on the left-hand side there. It'll spit you into the wall on the right-hand. And again, similar story. It's a bit more of an abridged sort of curve than you think. It's angry. The wall opens up on the left-hand side there for a reason, so you can use more space. Hit that curb, it's nice and flat. Don't go to the right, though. We saw Dave Newsham have a problem. That's where Jamie Dory hit into Michael Seal as they go down the hill. Again, these walls are so close to you. This is where the spatial awareness is really key. Hook the car into the left. Be patient on the throttle. The most important corner on the track, that is, because it sets up the longest flat-out section you can possibly get. If you end up a couple of miles an hour down there, you can really scupper yourself. And I tell you what, Freddie Hewitt's got a good run here. Let's have a look at him. Because he's right there now, trying to catch up with Matt Allen as they go into the final. There you go, the flash of the lights. He knows that he's within a chance. No, he's gone round. Well, I think those of you who don't like flashing of the lights, a little bit of karma for you there. David Ward's gone through, and Freddie Hewitt, who was on an absolute flyer, flashed the lights and gets caught on camera. That is the downside of it getting streamed. When you're just racing and nothing's getting streamed, you don't feel any pressure. Well, all of a sudden, when it's starting to stream and you make a mistake, you're like, oh, people might have actually seen that. Jeff Berg's crash. Let's go and have a very quick look at that first. He's in 5th place, and actually he was in 4th in blissful isolation. Exactly what everybody in the UK should be doing at the moment. But he just gets it. Oh, is he going to end up with a crash? Oh, I'll tell you what, he was looking at Lee Horn was so far back there, because that could have been really nasty. A blind left-hander, right on the apex as well. So Lee Horn goes through, and he's back up to 4th place. Jeff is now in 5th. And then we had a Thomas Delaney crash as well. This was just before in the SVR car. He's actually gained 2 positions still, so it can't have been a massive one. Oh yeah, just the undulations. He got the car unbalanced. Balances everything around this circuit, and unfortunately he didn't have it then. He goes to a nice wide part of the circuit. Tell you what, that would have been close, wouldn't it? This is Freddie Hewitt's crash. Flashing of the lights, trying to put off Matt Allen. Carries far too much speed in, and just like we saw, I think, Dave Newsham before, just ended up rotating the rear. Ollie Wayne's had a crash. Oh, he's just off in the grass, cutting some lawn. Yeah, if you want to have a look at a damaged car, he's trying to go. He's going to go straight, and he's having to lock at the right, and he goes back into the pit. This is Freddie Hewitt's crash as well, down the hill. Oh, there's the curb you don't want to hit. It sends you wide, sends you onto that curb, which you really don't want to touch. Tell you what, he's done well to stay out the pit, out the wall there. He's in 3rd place still, and just about keeps it going in a straight line. Lee Horn is still 4 seconds back, so that is how big a gap they had before. So into the final 2 minutes. Wow, really went quickly. Matt Allen still leads the way. David Ward in 2nd place, and Freddie Hewitt in 3rd. 4th is Lee Horn, with Jeff Perkins in 5th. Michael Seal is in 6th place. And 7th is Jamie Dorey. Sam Holman is in 8th. Thomas Delaney in 9th. Sorry, my chair's being a bit funny. 10th is Jorgen Sigert, with Dave Newsham being in 11th position. Qualified on pole, obviously. So really gutting for him. Colin Martin down in 12th. Ollie Wayne in the pits in 13th. Matthew Addy in 14th position, and he's had unfortunately another off. Callum Newsham, a day to forget for him for the most part, I think. Wayne Douglas in 16th. His first race, to be fair, in Callum's defence, his first race was a good recovery. Wayne Douglas down in 16th. He qualified really well in 5th. It's good to see how his race turned sour so quickly, with Chris Knox not taking the starting line. So that's how we look, and you can see actually Matt Allen's front end of his car is looking a bit beaten and bruised. So even at the front end of the field, it's not been plain sailing, and he's got a minute to. He's only got 45 seconds. This may well be the final lap of the race. We haven't had the white flag notification come up, but if it's anything like the first race, it may well finish it on the lap closest to the 45-minute mark. Because obviously, if we go one more lap, it's another 2 minutes and 10 seconds. It's also another lap where a lot of people can spin. It's also another lap where you have to fuel for. And a lot of drivers sometimes only fuel for the bare minimum. They try and work out the times, try and work out the race pace, and then just put the minimum amount of fuel that they need to. And that can catch a lot of people out. I remember covering an MX-5 race around Le Mans, and it was 15 minutes, and they crossed the line to start another lap with 14 minutes and 56 seconds. 4 seconds to go. They had to start another lap and do that lap. and half the field didn't finish because they ran out of fuel around Le Mans. This is going to be the checkered flag, though. Matt Allen, to be fair, as soon as he got past Dave Newsham, has never really looked in doubt. He's going to take the second victory of the evening, and I believe the biggest amount of points from the taking away as well. He finished second. He's finished in first, though, this time. It's Dave Ward who's going to come across the line in second place this time. So I believe Matt Allen will extend his championship standings. Freddie Hewitt, after an awful lot of late race dramas, sorry, shall I say, is in third place, and I'm guessing he's going to be pretty pleased that he's going to finish there in the end. Lee Horn with a couple of fourth places. Something I'm sure he was very pleased with fourth place in the first round. I'm sure he'll be very pleased with that as well. Jeff Burkiss, he had fourth place in the bag, as I said, blissful isolation, but he was a bit too hot, a bit too keen. He ended up in fifth place. So that is effectively the race. Having a look, Jamie Dory is going to come across the line. Michael Seal has already taken the line. Jamie is in 7th place at the moment. He's got Thomas Delaney behind him, but the amount of space between these drivers is pretty incredible now. As you say, Bathurst is one of those places that I would expect large gaps to be forming, especially sort of around that mid-pack and the front, sort of the front pack to the mid-pack. It's a 45-minute race. I'd expected the top 3 to really pull away from that sort of like top half of the mid-pack, which is exactly what happened. So, yeah, it's always the way, and it's a very technical circuit, plenty of mistakes, but don't get me wrong, it is an extremely difficult circuit. Like, it's, if you try and just crack on with Bathurst with no real sim experience, especially in one of these cars, you're lucky to get a lap out of it. I would wager that I probably wouldn't get a lap out of it. I certainly wouldn't get a flying lap out of it. So it is not for the faint-hearted. Jochen Siggert coming across the line then in 9th position. Just waiting on a few others. Sam Holman being one of them. Let's have a look and see how his car's getting on. This is what a damaged car looks like in iRacing. He's got full right-hand lock on. He's trying to go in a straight line, and it's not going very well for him, Sam. I think Sam was also the driver who tried to go. To be fair, he's got around there earlier than something nicer. He tried to go around the outside in the final lap. In race 1, that didn't come off, safe to say. He ended up, I think, flying higher than the mountain's highest peak. But, he's going into the pits. A very difficult way of driving this, Sam. I would probably just spawn back to the pits, but he is the last driver we're waiting on to finish in 10th place. And look at that, he can really turn left vigorously. Oh, God, okay, this might take a while because now he's going to have to turn all the way right. And considering he doesn't have any right-hand turn, he's stopped. Gone. Yeah, plenty of left. Plenty of right. Gone. Full lock to the right. Come on. The last 30 yards. Give him a cheer. Flashing the lights. He probably knows he's on stream. There we go. And he's across the line so we can bring up the race results now. So, the race results then as they stand. Matt Allen is in first place, 8.5 seconds away from David Ward in second. Freddie Hewitt was in third with Lee Horn in fourth place. Jeff Perkins was in fifth. Michael Seal ended up in sixth place. Jamie Dory in seventh. Thomas Delaney in eighth. Jochen Siggert is in ninth place with Sam Holman in 10th. Dave Newsham 11th in the end. And the first of the cars that didn't finish on the lead lap. Colin Martin in 12th. Ollie Wayne in 13th. Matthew Addy was 2 laps down in 14th. Callum Newsham was 6 laps down in 15th. Wayne Douglas was 12 laps down in 16th. And Chris Knox didn't take the start in 17th position. That was fun indeed. I'm glad everybody enjoyed it. Fabulous entertainment tonight, everyone. Bathurst is awesome. Team Daddy and Son Newsham will be back next time. Hoping so. Kay Baker, get him in on the chat, get him on the Discord, and we'll have a chat to them in between the races as well. But I'd like to give a big thank you to everybody who's tuned in, who's liked, shared, commented. The chat's been really good, especially YouTube and Facebook. I can see both of you. Apart from Mark, shout out to Lucasade in a can. Lucasade belongs in a bottle. I think we can all agree on that one. But yeah, I'm really glad everybody tuned in, whether it be Facebook or YouTube. And if you subscribed, brilliant. If you've liked it, fantastic. Do whatever you want to do, though. I'm not in charge. It's a reason why it's all free. You can do what you want. But we will be back next time, 8 o'clock or 10 to 8 next Friday for the next round. of the Porsche PMR Cup. Matt Allen exceeding... my mind's gone blank. He's extended. That's what, not exceeding. Extended his championship standings. David Ward's probably moved himself up a couple of places as well. Dave Newsham maybe has picked a few drivers who haven't turned up for a couple of weeks as well, so he may be in the fight for the championship round. But Matt Allen has certainly shown himself to be the driver to beat in the Misty Motorsport car. Thank you all very much for joining in. Very well done, Jack. Thank you very much. Chocolate Cosy, well done, Jack. Thank you. Thank you, guys. We'll be back. In fact, no, I'm supposed to do it on this screen. Thank you, guys, and I hope you'll be back next week. We do have, obviously, a couple of other things. Next week on Sim Racers World, on Monday, we have... In fact, no, on Sunday on Sim Racers World, we have Sunday Drivers, so a new series, an MX-5 series. It's been going for quite a while, but it's now being broadcast by me. Not on this channel, though. It's on Sim Racers World, but I will be sharing it to the Facebook if you are watching on Facebook. On Monday, it's NASCAR with Sim Racers World as well. Again, and not on my channel, but I'll share it onto my channel on Facebook. And then Tuesday, it's the BSI MX-5 Pro Series, streamed through Jacko Racing. Then Friday, I don't think I have anything, nope, Friday, we will have this again, Porsche PMR Cup. So be sure to follow, subscribe, like, do whatever you want to do. We'll see you later.